Hello, fabulous Aquarius. Welcome to your horoscope for the month of June 2016, General Focus. I am your astrologer, Nadiya Shah. Thank you for being here. What an active sky it is this month. All of us are going to be feeling the twists and the turns and the changes. And I think that you, above all, are going to navigate it exceptionally well. And that is because there is a new moon happening early in the month, and it is happening in fellow air sign Gemini. So this is an element, your same element, so you know how to deal with this energy. You're comfortable with this energy. But what is different, what is special, is that this new moon is going to be involved in a rare configuration astrologers are calling the mutable grand cross. And this is where we have this new moon standing across the sky from Saturn, your ancient ruling planet. And on one side, we've got Jupiter. On the other side, we've got Neptune. This is a conversation of confusion. It is one of motivation to change. But also, there can be some not very honest stuff happening with this particular sky. And so I'm sorry to say that. But I do want to be straightforward with you. And this is taking place in a part of the sky for you that has to do with your children. If you have children, children that you want, children you're hoping for, or children that are in your life that you love. And that's not easy, right? Because that's where we see the most innocence. But I look at this and I think to myself, you know, it happens, especially like kids, they're learning about their boundaries. They're figuring out what they can get away with, what they can't. And it is possible that some of that is going to be tested a little bit, okay? Now, I do think, as I said, what's really great is of all the signs to have this occur with, you are the most equipped to occur with this, to deal with this. And also, you're more able to work with this energy to your advantage. And that is the advantage. Whereas for other people out there, other signs out there, you know, unfortunately, this can be particularly a difficult energy. For you, I think that you will be able to understand, because a part of you can understand that very desire to test boundaries and to want something of your own. Because you can understand that, that is where some of your strengths lie, and you'll be able to navigate the situation that much better for you and your child. The other thing with this is, if you want children, just be mindful of that with this particular energy. I have a feeling as I look at this that there could be some misinformation that comes up, and it may be just misinformation if you have children around your child, that your child did something that they didn't do, that they weren't supposed to do. These kinds of scenarios can happen. Now, it's going to be important to have that measured perspective, to talk to them, of course, to use language as part of figuring out the way forward. But that's, you know, if something's going on with your children. But this also can be just things not being diagnosed correctly, like maybe some behavioral issues are coming up and it's because of this, but it's not because of that, it's because of something else. So this is part of the awareness and the opportunity there. If you want children, I would really suggest that you wait or at least try to stay as far away from this new moon as possible in order to find out, in order to get your answers, in order to try to make that happen. I do think that, of course, if you want children, absolutely you can make that happen, but you want to make sure that any kind of advice that you're getting along those lines, any kind of prenatal testing, all of that, if you're expecting a child, you just want to not schedule any kind of major stuff right around this new moon, because I think the information you get will likely not be accurate. And there's no reason to have information that is not accurate, that is not empowering, when absolutely it can be very empowering. But it is about maintaining that balance. And especially if that's something you want, if you know that you want children, or you're pregnant right now and you're, you know, looking into it, or even, you know, you want to adopt, if that's something that you want as well and something that you're considering, I would say just in the very beginning of this month, you could look into it a little bit, but then wait until the very end of the month. That is a much, much better sky for any kind of consideration along those lines. Now, this part of the sky also has to do with creativity, okay? And it has to do with with the energy of art, with the energy of creation, with the energy that has to do with utilizing your creativity for your advantage, particularly your financial advantage. And I would be really mindful if someone, you know, comes to you and says, I'm going to make you a star. If somebody comes to you in that regard, this is the time to be a little bit careful, particularly, as I said, the early part of the month around this new moon, because I just see somebody promising you the sun, moon, and stars without that ability, without the practical knowledge. And it's not even that they may be consciously not being honest. They may sincerely believe that they can deliver, and it may be a different sky, possibly, right? But it's so easy with this energy to be swept up and see what you want. And it's so easy with this energy for somebody to sincerely believe it and give you information that in fullness of time is not accurate, that it's important for you to be mindful of that. So I would avoid any kind of pitch in the early part of the month. Wait until late in the month, because there are healthy ways and amazing ways to use this energy early in the month. So one of the amazing ways that you can use this energy is asking yourself tough questions. Is this project, is this endeavor, is this creative venture, is it worth what it is asking? And striving to make an honest assessment in that regard. Is it worth what it's asking, particularly financially? That's where you want to be really stringent. Because with a sky like this, it is very possible to get into a situation that ends up costing money, and that's what you want to avoid. And the way that you avoid that is to ground yourself in that Saturn. And that Saturn right now, Saturn's moving through a part of the sky that is your home in the sky. And if you ground yourself in this particular energy, you will find that things end up going infinitely more positively in your favor. If you are able to make it about the math, make it about being a stickler for the numbers, being a stickler for facts, being able to go over the minutia, the details of the matter. Some of the details may not necessarily be crystal clear, but I would say if you know that you're pursuing any kind of endeavor like this, do it at the very beginning of the month, and then utilize this new moon to really ask yourself some very tough questions and strive to move beyond seeing just what you want to see, and strive instead to really get down to the nitty-gritty practicalities. And that's including if you're doing this in a group or you're doing this by yourself. If you are somebody who is a creative person and is planning to do any kind of, like I said, a pitch, you may be thinking that you want to do a show of some kind. I would say, you know, again, think about your intention behind it. Think about the purpose behind it. If your purpose behind it, if your intention behind it is to just express yourself and to explore your creativity and to figure out what your limits are, that is fine. But if your intention behind it is that you're hoping that you're going to share something and it's going to have a certain kind of impact and maybe it'll be a stepping stone to something else, that's where you want to just be a little bit mindful. And especially if you are the one putting up the money and putting up the investment, again, being especially mindful, making sure that, you know, everything is going legit, everything's being documented. That is the thing that's going to help you. And I know that that can be a little bit of a drag for an Aquarian who can, certain Aquarians. There are Aquarians that are particularly Uranian, right? Like to go with the flow, go with inspiration. And then there are the Aquarians that like to ground themselves in Saturn, that are much more Saturnian, that need to see those numbers, that need to see the breakdown, need to see the percentages. And if that is you, or even if that's not you, that's where you want to go. Strengthen that Saturn, and you will be glad for the tough questions you ask, because they will make things that much clearer, not only now, but it will be clarity that lasts for many, many months to come. Also, be careful of any kind of contracts. Be careful of words. Be careful of conversations. It's a Gemini new moon, and so there might be lots of double information coming your way. But Saturn will keep you grounded. Saturn will make sure you see and know the truth and know how to make some practical gains. As we move towards the later part of the month, as I said, that's where the golden opportunity is. Try to put off what you can until the later part of the month. We've got a full moon happening, speaking in supreme harmony with Uranus. This is great, lucky turnarounds. No matter what takes place early in the month, you can have a reversal, a positive upswing of fortune take place for you late in the month. And that is something that ultimately seems to give you yourself. There is like the best of you coming forward. People are coming through for you in a big way. Friendships, alliances, and conversations and agreements. Any contracts that need to be signed, wait until late in the month to do so. Also, we will have a rare meet, the last meeting of 3 between Jupiter and Pluto. This is supremely lucky for you. This is supremely fortunate for you because this particular configuration is saying money. That is saying wealth. It is saying you are building on something and building and making it that much stronger. My advice would be any kind of financial dealings, any kind of agreements that need to be made where you're splitting money in particular, that's when you want to do it. Make sure that you get it in writing and it's all signed and secure as late in the month, or later in the month, if you will, the last week of the month, because that's when you'll be working with this amazing energy to your advantage. Any kind of loan that needs to be renegotiated, grants, loans, bursaries, insurance payments, tax returns, commissions, all of that, save it for then. Save those agreements for then. If anything comes up earlier in the month, if you can delay it, do delay it. I would also say that, if you know that you need to go talk to the bank, as long as it's not an urgent situation that says right now it must happen, then delay it. And I would even say to you, even if everything is great, check out what you might qualify for. Check out if you can get better rates. Check out what it is that your bank can do for you and how you can take advantage of that relationship in a million different ways, right? How you can help yourself financially as we get to the later part of the month. Use that energy to in some way move yourself towards greater wealth. And that's the promise here. And that's the promise throughout the month, actually, that it's about navigating it well. You've got a lot of opportunity here to make great breakthroughs happen for you. It is going to involve some intuition. It is going to involve surrendering the fact that you may not have all the answers just yet, but that you're learning as you go. And as you move forward, and particularly towards the later part of the month, you will hit a stride. You will have that clarity of vision. You will see where it is that you're going. And not only that, you will move your life towards greater wealth. Wealth of spirit, practical wealth as well. But of course, after this month, I do think you will also believe that experience can lend itself to wealth all around.